when I was talking to you and found out all the amazing things you was doing, I was blown away. I was blown away. Specifically, the Conference Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, during these college seasons, the conference sends out a ballot to all of the coaches. They vote on Player of the Year. They vote on All-Star teams. They vote on Conference Coach of the Year. So this award was given to you by your peers.
By my peers, yeah. My first time being involved with the process, like being in the meeting, All-Star conference meetings. I've been like on the back end of it, knowing like what's in it with my former boss, Casey Summers, there, and our relationship and talking about the All-Star process. But this is my first time being in that room on the Zoom.
Right.
Now, in that conversation, talking about All-Stars, Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year, so forth, and Coach of the Year.
Why do you think your peers selected you?
I have no idea. Like you can't. First and foremost, you can't vote for yourself.
Right.
So I mean, I knew that going in already. You have to, put in a statement about yourself. And me, I'm the type of person I don't like really describing or talking about myself or why you feel like you should get certain accolades or certain recognition. So going, I didn't know who they were gonna select because this is my first year as the actual, head coach. I've been an assistant for the past 6 seasons, associate head coach in 2019. But the coaches who are the other head coaches for the other schools within the conference, I've known them, like the head coach at Brooklyn College now, Tita, who's the head coach at York College before. I knew him from working together with the New York Cosmos, so forth. The head coach at Lehman, she was a player when I was assistant coach there back when I started 2014. And then the head coach at CCNY, Louis, who's been there for a while. So you build those relationships and so forth, and people see you as an assistant, coming up the ranks. So I guess.
Nah, man, you being modest. Let's talk about your team then.
Right.
As you mentioned, you were an assistant for 6 years?
Yeah.
And this was your very first year at the helm of the program, and you were selected Conference Coach of the Year. How would you describe your team? Like, what type of season did you guys put together?
It was full of a lot of grit, resilience, flexibility, being adaptable.
Yeah.
Those were the main adjectives I was using coming in, like being flexible, adaptable. We didn't know what to expect coming back.
With COVID?
With COVID, yeah, since we missed out on 2020. Didn't know what the roster sizes were going to look like. I even found out some players weren't coming back a month before, preseason, couple weeks. Some crucial players, who were part of our first conference championship back in 2019. So having to adapt with that. But I knew during that whole time, during the COVID, during that little break we were off, I was recruiting, I got in 2 transfers from other D3 programs who were fortunately coming for grad school. So that was a blessing and amazing help for our team. But we were short-numbered. We only had 19 on the roster this year, and our average is about 23, 24.
So you were short. And indeed, what date did you learn that you were going to be the head coach of the program?
I knew sometime in March or April.
March 2020?
Around that time.
Okay.
That, some things were probably in the works or so forth, and, gearing up to possibly, to take over the program.
Right.
So it wasn't, I knew a day like this would come or so forth. Either if I'm at the program or even if I'm at John Jay, if I was moving on to another program or so forth, like the opportunity would present itself. But I've always been preparing and learning along the way as an assistant, just learning the craft of what it takes to be successful in college athletics.
Long-time assistant. Mm-hmm. You guys won a city championship 2019.
Yeah, the first one.
The last season before the pandemic, basically. So you guys kind of like reigning champions, even though things are different because of the pandemic. But the last time that conference played soccer, you were a part of the championship team. Mm-hmm. So that coach moves on, and now you're thrusted to the lead chair. How is that? Because as a new coach, I'm sure you want to put your staple on the program, but then there's also things that's been successful. So you want to keep those in place. Like, what was it like taking over a program that you were an assistant and that had success in the past?
The starting in 2014, the program, like we had the team before John Jay, we had like 2 wins, 3 wins every year. We progressed our win percentage by at least 1 or 2 wins every season. But I credit that down to Casey Summers, who was the former head coach.
Right.
But me coming in, it wasn't anything like a dictatorship. We helped to build the program together. I felt like I had a substantial hand in leading up to 2019, so when we won our first championship, even if I wasn't the head coach, like I was out there on the road recruiting many days, many nights, like us working together, fundraising, different things. We need to attract players to John Jay, to build a program up to where we need to find those club and caliber players that you need to win, so even behind the scenes, like head coaches get a lot of credit, which is, they're in the forefront of everything, but you need a successful team. Like I tell you, when I was an assistant, I only missed 2 games, like as an assistant, like on the sideline, 2 games ever for those past 6, 7 years. Like I was there every day. Anybody could tell you I was there. Right. So I think that's what you need in order to be successful, like getting your hands dirty and knowing how the program is. So me taking over, like, I know part of it, I helped to like bake the cake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that instance, so me coming on, I just put the icing, kind of like on top and make the little decorations and so forth. Now I'm putting my own philosophy and my spin on it. I think I credit it down to being, if you have a good team coming in, if you take over, there's a change in personnel and head coaches. The relationship that you have with your players beforehand plays a long way into how that transition will work out for you, me becoming a head coach. If I was like an ass or if I wasn't somebody that was involved with my players, made it a duty to know them, be invested in them as student athletes, I don't think that respect would have been there. And let's say...
How did they receive you now being a head coach? Because it is different, no?
Yeah, it is different, yeah. Like everything comes to you, like those texts, those calls, everything first coming to you, those emails about things. So, everything falls on your plate.
Yeah, and even as an assistant, and I know this firsthand, sometimes they will confide in you different things that maybe they don't want to express with the head coach. And now you, the head person, they might be kind of running to tell somebody else about you now. So it is different.
It is different, but I make it a key thing in my philosophy. I'm all about transparency, like 100%. Like, what the coaching staff says and what the head coach says is, final, but I like to have that relationship with my players to know, like, okay, what can we work on to improve on to get better, what things need to be tweaked, not just like as a dictatorship, what I say goes, but I like to get some input and see like how they do, because they're the ones that are out there
For sure.
that are working,
For sure.
know what I mean?
For sure. What'd you learn about yourself this season? Is there something about the job that surprised you? Like, oh snap, I ain't know this what the head coaching position was about.
I just think a little more credit to detail, like detail in everything. Meeting times, recovery, travel, all those things that I probably wasn't involved with as an assistant.
Yeah.
Like you get to see that first and foremost, that communication, other schools, so forth, conflicts and scheduling, contracts, some of those things that when you're a head coach, you're like, all right, like this is
it.
This is really it, But I think the preparation before in those past 6 years, 6 seasons has helped me, to where I am today. And I think it's just the most challenging thing during that time was just day by day, like just being flexible with the changes happening with COVID.
Yeah.
There was a time we were out, like we had to go into a protocol, during the season.
During the season?
Yeah, during the season. And, it gets stressful because, you're working towards something. And I have this thing coming in as part of my philosophy is banner mentality. You know what I mean? But, people think about banners and, what you put up there, but it's also like what do you want your banner to say, when you're done, like as a student athlete? Do you want to just have accolades of athletics, or is it you as a person, growing and evolving and progressing? But the most challenging thing was, like I said, day by day dealing with the different protocols, not knowing come back. Then we went through a strain of injuries and so forth. So we were depleted with our number size already being low. So I think it was just keeping the morale positive and letting everybody know, like, hey, like, let's just be thankful, be blessed that we're back playing again. You know what I mean? Appreciate every moment.
For sure. Did you hire any assistants this season?
I hired one assistant, one young lady I hired, and then I had my other 2 assistant coaches who were within the program before. But this coming year, I'm probably looking to add some grad assistant coaches, some former players who are currently in grad school, just to help out more.
So you were an assistant with some of your assistants now. You guys were all a group of assistants as one.
Yeah.
And then you were sent to the head coaching position.
Yeah.
Now, from my time in the military, like we would all be lower ranking soldiers, and then one of us would ascend to sergeant and stuff.
Right.
That's a challenge too. Like to be peers, and then the next day you're their supervisor.
But I think it's about the relationship that you have with these people that you're working with. So if you have that respect, and the same thing I tell my players, like, if you respect each other, you should go up to each other and hold each other accountable for the things that, you know, whether you're doing right or you're not doing right or what you need to do. But I think the relationship I had, even my assistant coach, Agnes Sansarides, who I made associate head coach. Now, just before when I was assistant, he was very influential, into our program, our video analysis, a tactical analysis. So a lot of times during sessions, people don't know, like, sometimes in practice, the assistant coaches are running a lot of the sessions. Maybe the head coach is just there making sure things are run, but maybe there's different divisions or so forth. But at our level, I know my associate head coach, Agnes Sansarides, and then our other goalkeeping coaches. My goalkeeping coach, Danny Vergara, is very, influential in being there behind the scenes. But I think it's all about that respect. So me and Agath had that relationship, and I think that respect with each other. So me stepping in to that role, it's kind of like, well, I was the second in command, I think, for all these past seasons. Not warranted that any of them couldn't step up into it, but I think it just comes with the time and that relationship.